Live and direct, under construction.
I missed this place. I forgot.
Yeah, we
was,
back in
man.
the studio.
Right.
We back. We got some things coming down the pipeline. I think that some of y'all are gonna love. But
We got some breaking news. Breaking news: the Hornets have converted Bryce McGowan to a full-time player.
wow,
4 years, $7.4 million.
what does this mean for James Bouknight?
It means James Bouknight will have a new team very
soon.
That's what that means.
Welcome to Under Construction. I'm Kaiser Sose, angry black every angry black fan.
We rusty, man.
Jamal, yeah, we kind of rusty. You know who's not rusty? The Charlotte Hornets.
Right.
They needed the All-Star break, and I remember weeks ago somebody saying, "Hey, Jamal, Kaiser, like, what do you think is going to happen after the All-Star break?" And we both said, "Well,
they're going to start winning games.
Yep, they're going to get healthy. They're going to start winning games, and
here we are.
We're going to get the 8th pick." About that, real quick, draft odds. If the Hornets stay where they are, they would have about a 55% chance to pick in the top 5. So even if they didn't get the first pick, it is still more likely than not that they would pick in from 2 to 5. But they also have a 17% chance of picking 7th, and the lowest they can pick is 8th, which is only a 2.2% chance. So wouldn't it be some silly shit if we picked 8th?
I wouldn't be surprised one bit, man. Just we know how this works.
Yeah, exactly. I still think the draft is rigged and the NBA owes us one, and we might end up with Victor.
Don't you love how every national media outlet just has Victor already going to Spurs? Like, I don't know about you, but every national outlet I've read, it's just funny how that works, man.
Yeah, but I will say a lot of pundits, both in major media and independent people like ourselves, think that Charlotte is the best landing spot for Wemby.
Look, man, I'm going to sound like a fan. I know people are going to disagree with me, but we don't care about people disagreeing with us. Charlotte is playing with the most integrity right now. Charlotte has never tried to tank at any point this season, regardless of what our fans think. And we had a commenter last week that made a very good point. For that reason, we deserve the number one. The teams that are not trying to go out there and dog it every night,
right?
They're the teams that deserve the number one pick. Damn it, why not us, man?
Yeah, why not us? A lot of people feel like Wemby with LaMelo Ball,
hello,
unstoppable. And did y'all see Mark Williams last night? Did y'all see this man?
The future's here, bro.
Did y'all see this man?
The future is here, bro.
So we can even take Miles out of the equation.
Because we don't even have to put him in the equation. Yeah. Exactly.
If we have LaMelo, Wemby, and Mark Williams, that's our big 3 right there.
Tell me you don't get excited about that.
Oh, and then you got Kelly Oubre and Dennis Smith Jr. coming off the bench. I don't know if y'all saw Dennis Smith Jr. last night too.
Who got all up in the shirts.
Yes. So it's funny because someone in the Hornets group made some weird comparison comparing DSJ to Malik Monk, right? Which is not
crazy.
Not really
doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. But last night showed you why the Hornets moved on from Malik Monk and decided to pick up Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr., he's everything you could want from a backup point guard.
Listen, man, not just he's everything you want, but he is making winning plays. He plays winning basketball. You know that Steve Clifford could not afford to take Dennis Smith Jr. out of the game last night. He just could not.
He was up in cash jerseys, and I think he was arrested immediately after game for what he did to Max Strauss.
You can't do that. Max Strauss has a family.
Yeah, that man
has got a mom and
has
daddy.
A career.
He has a career. He got a good thing. You can't
bills to pay.
Dennis Smith, you can't do that to people.
And I ain't never seen anyone get teed up so fast after dunking on someone. It was like the second he landed, technical foul. I mean, it was.
Don't get me started on the referees last night.
That was weird.
We're in a good place. I don't want to get started on that, but
yeah, that was.
I'm going to say this: nobody paid their good money to come see the referees last night.
Plus, when you're playing against Jimmy Butler, who I got to give Jimmy Butler all the credit in the world. I mean, the number 30 pick, and like Eric Collins said last night, he has forged himself into an elite player. Right. Like he willed himself to be good.
Here comes a however.
However. If Miami's in the bonus,
you know what's going to happen.
You know what's coming.
You know what's coming every time.
Every play, drive, flop.
Every time.
Every single time. And it just got annoying. The game slowed down to a crawl last night because of that. Which was
crazy because on the last one, Gordon Hayward, he put his hand so far behind his head.
I don't see how they call
I'm not going to foul this dude. But guess what? Dennis Smith Jr. comes over on the help side, weak side, steals the ball, seals the game.
Man. Yeah. Great defensive effort by the. That's why they won the game last night. The defensive effort.
It's funny you say that, Mr. Kaiser, because our boy, Mr. Danny Thompson, we had our private chat a couple of days ago, and Mr. Thompson said, "Hey, man, we've had two coaches that can't make these dudes play defense." Now, look, very, very small sample size. I don't want to jump too far ahead. But what have they been doing the last, 6-7 games, man?
Yeah. So
defense.
That 103 points they gave up was that
one of the lowest this season?
One of the lowest. I'm trying to find another win where they gave up less than that. 105 Orlando.
Not bad.
Back in November.
Not bad.
Oh, okay. The very first game of the season, they only gave them 102 points to the San Antonio Spurs. So, in a win. So that's the second lowest amount of points they've given up in a win, and they only scored 108 points, which is odd considering you had Gordon Hayward.
What's gotten into that?
Yeah, game? I don't know. Yeah, so he had a great game. LaMelo Ball had a great game. Mark Williams had a great scoring game, and the Hornets only put up 108 points in a win. And here's the thing about this winning streak. They are not necessarily beating up scrub teams.
Right.
Now, the Spurs, obviously, although the Spurs weren't trying to lose that game.
Oh, absolutely not.
They were, yeah.
No, they've to this point, they've lost 16 in a row. So you best believe they were trying to get up. Look, every team on a losing streak comes into Charlotte like, Charlotte, get right game.
Yep, exactly.
We got this one.
So they were playing hard, but the other game, the other wins against Atlanta, Miami, Minnesota, those three are all playoff teams, right? All of those teams
are trying to win.
Right. They would make the play-in if the playoffs started today. Okay?
Atlanta never wants to lose.
Oh, boy. That was a surprising, a very high-scoring game. I don't like to see shootouts. Everyone loves them in the NBA. I don't. I'd rather see a defensive game, like a good balance between offense and defense. Because with those shootouts, it's just going to come down to who misses a shot. Right. So, and then they beat San Antonio in the Minnesota game. I think that was the best of all of their games in this win streak.
Explain why, sir.
Because Minnesota been feeling themselves lately, especially after the trade deadline. Yeah. They've been playing better.
Right.
Anthony Edwards coming off his first ever All-Star game. Even though people felt like he should have been given the nod last season over LaMelo Ball making the All-Star game. So this was a game the Hornets had to show up for. Plus, it was on the road.
Yeah, no doubt.
In the coldest place on the earth. I've lived in Minnesota. Trust me, that is not exaggeration.
-8 degrees that day.
Right. So, there had been. It's almost like people forgot about LaMelo Ball.
Right.
LaMelo Ball has been playing well since he came back from injury. In fact, if he hadn't started the season injured, he would have been an All-Star this year, I think. So he comes back and puts on a show. To be fair, Anthony Edwards did as well. They both played incredible.
Hey, look, listen, let me tell you something, man. As a general, not speaking as a Hornets fan, but as a general basketball fan, the NBA is in great hands.
Great hands.
Great hands.
It's not like one of those situations where, remember after Michael Jordan left and before Kobe was Kobe.
The NBA was terrible
For like 6 years. Even after Jordan came back, it gave but it was with the Wizards. It wasn't the same, right?
Remember when the Lakers just mopped up the Nets in the finals?
Exactly.
Nobody watched that series. I'm sorry. I think it was the Spurs that mopped up the Nets. One of the two,
right?
But whatever those 2 years after Jordan left, it was like nobody was watching.
And then they had the shortened season. I forgot about that. Right. And it was the NBA was just until LeBron James came, it was terrible. So now like wow, LeBron. We might get 2 more seasons from him, right? What's going to happen after that? No, I think the NBA is just fine. But that Minnesota game, and plus, Gordon Hayward been closing them out lately.
What's going on with that dude lately, man? This dude turning into Larry Bird the last week, man.
Yo, it's like, Del Curry keeps saying it on the broadcast, the adult in the room. Right. And that's, I'll be honest, that's really all the Hornets ever needed Gordon Hayward to be.
Yep.
You want to talk about his contract? Fine, although I don't think that his contract has been a hindrance to Charlotte at all.
Right. Let me cut you off because we were in no position to go out there and get some big all-star, superstar free agent anyway.
Exactly.
That money was going to be spent anyway.
Right. So people don't. I don't know if people know this. You have to spend. Like you're only allowed, I think, 15% of cap buffer.
Not only is there a salary cap, there's a floor as well.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You have to spend that money, y'all.
So we could have, $30 million a year on Gordon or $30 million on
Roy Hachimura or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So having said that, though, Gordon Hayward obviously has not lived up to his contract mainly because of injuries.
Right.
Let's be clear that's the reason. But. He after the All-Star break, he's been playing extremely, extremely well. Gordon's a hooper. He's a good basketball player,
No doubt.
So that's
not only that, he's a professional. Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going to get his trade value right
for next
season when he will be on an expiring. Let me ask you this real quick before we talk about the rest of these games. Let's say Gordon Hayward said he'll never say this, but let's say he said, I really like Charlotte because everyone does like living here.
When they come here, they like living here, right?
I like Charlotte, and I know I'm in the twilight of my career, and I probably won't get another big contract. Okay, he's not going to get. He's had 3 big contracts in his career. He's not getting another one. Let's say he comes back on a very team-friendly deal.
Why not? Because again, jumping far ahead, right? Let's say God finally loves Charlotte, and we get that guy. I'm not even gonna say a name.
Yeah, don't jinx. Yeah.
We get that guy. In next year's draft. Look at the starting lineup that we project for next year. You mean to tell me you don't want a Gordon Hayward coming off your bench next year? A Gordon Hayward and a Kelly Oubre possibly coming off? Man, please.
That's 2 guys who could start
for a lot of teams.
20 teams in the league.
Right.
Coming off your bench. With DSJ, Nick Richards.
Hey, Kaza, I made this tweet last night. I don't know if the Charlotte Hornets look at this podcast or not, but let me look in the camera when I say this. Dear Charlotte Hornets, y'all better re-sign Dennis Smith Jr.
Yes, my God.
That is important to the culture of this franchise. Let me repeat that. Dennis Smith Jr. being on this team next year is important to the culture of this franchise. Let me explain why. We're looking at this last week. We're looking at this 4-game winning streak, right? I'm noticing maturity from LaMelo Ball. Gordon Hayward's playing better. He's the adult in the room. Dennis Smith Jr. is making those little winning plays down the stretch. What have the Hornets been missing for the last 2 years? Maturity.
Yeah.
Knowing how to win games. Knowing how to close games. You know what I mean? Knowing what to do in the fourth quarter. You got to resign Dennis Smith Jr. next year, man. It's important.
Jared Carlson asks, what's considered team-friendly for Gordon Hayward?
At this stage in his career, I don't know, something a little less than $10 million. I figure Kelly Oubre is going to get more than that.
Kelly Oubre is going to get maybe 18.
Yeah.
You don't pay Gordon that. But here's the thing, though.
But see, here's the thing. Think about this. If we're talking about Gordon Hayward at that stage who's made all the money he made, which is a lot, who says he doesn't take less? Like, he doesn't necessarily need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if he just simply wants to be a part of something that he feels like could grow into something special, I mean, he could take something
See,
really cheap.
Here's the thing: the question for Gordon Hayward will always be his health.
Right.
Okay, he could play every game,
but then,
every season.
And then there's that. Because what if the Hornets say, "Hey, man, we just can't give you."
But see, another team will. Another team, they're gonna make. Gordon Hayward's gonna get a lot of offers. Hornets gonna get a lot of trade offers for Hayward. I think this is a moot point. I don't even think they're going to negotiate with him at the beginning of next season because the expectation will be that
no doubt.
you are a valuable trade piece.
Right. And best believe, man, they're going to dangle him at the deadline next year.
You send him to Lakers, Clippers,
Denver.
Knicks, Denver, back to Boston.
Right.
Any one of those teams would love to have a Gordon Hayward on their team to solidify their playoff runs.
Yeah.
Joseph Wilson says, "Don't get Jamal excited." Okay, so let's talk about this win streak.
Sorry. Hey, look, I don't get excited a lot, man. Let me have this one, man.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. It's hard not to get excited about this win streak, and I'll tell you why. Regardless of how much you might want your team to tank, you never want to end the season
on a bad note.
Right.
Right. You want momentum going in.
Right. You want to say, "Oh boy, look at all the things we have to look forward to in addition to whoever we draft."
Right.
Which right now, if the Hornets stay in fourth worst team in the league, they are guaranteed a top 8 pick. Yeah. And it is more likely than not, they'll pick in the top 5. Although since they changed the draft rules, historically, the last 2 drafts, the fourth worst team has picked 6. Hopefully we can break that curse. Okay.
This is why I don't like talking about this.
Right. And see, here's the thing. A lot of people are upset because the Hornets are now not, we might end up leapfrogging Orlando, which.
Look, man, I'm going to say this again. Anything can happen with that draft lottery, man. When I say anything, and we do know. What do we know? We know the worst team rarely ever gets the number 1 overall pick, right?
Except for the last 2 drafts. Now, here's my thinking, man. Here's what makes me feel better about all this. And I've said this before. Coming into this season, the Hornets were never going to tank. Let me say that again. Yeah, that's true.
The intention of this team was to never be purposely bad enough to get into the lottery. The Hornets never expected to be in the lottery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we get to this lottery and we get a unicorn, it's just a bonus for me, man. So I try to take my thinking away from, hey, let's lose games to increase our. It just doesn't make sense to put yourself through that much stress, man. It is what it is, bro.
No, I completely agree. I mean,
it would be. Don't get me wrong.
It would be nice,
Listen.
but I believe that I still believe that the draft is rigged, and I only say this because there's been historically too many situations where the right team got the pick they needed, going all the way back to Patrick Ewing. Right. The Anthony Davis situation still bothers me. The number 1 team goes to number 1 pick goes to a team that is owned
by the NBA. But at that point, just sold the team to
Tom Benson. Right.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Here you go, Mr. Benson.
Oh, here's the number 1 pick.
Hey, thanks for your purchase.
Yeah, despite the fact that Charlotte Hornets had the worst record ever in NBA history.
Right. No, not even that. Forget, the owner kind of made the NBA. He kind of
exactly.
The owner elevated the NBA just a little bit.
They owe Michael Jordan one, as far as I'm concerned, right? So that's why it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if we got the number 1 pick. The difference between odds between being a bottom 3 team and the 4th worst team is about 1.5%. Right. So really, our chances realistically are as good as any of those other teams as landing Wemby. Although there are the other guys in the drafts, Scoot, Amen, Brandon Miller, which although I feel like the Hornets should avoid Brandon Miller, which would be sad because he's a really good player.
Talk about.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
All right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
all of those players would make the Hornets much better. But are they franchise changing? Wemby is franchise changing. Right. I've been watching. I said, okay, let me go back and watch a lot of film on this kid. And my God, he's like when you play 2K and you create a player and you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna beat everyone. And you make like a 7-foot dude with super handles
7'4" Kevin Durant.
Right. That's him.
That's him.
I'm watching him in granted, the guys he's playing against in his league
are grown men.
They're grown men, but they're not. Sometimes it looks like he's playing against little kids.
Yeah.
But I think that's a testament to how good he is.
Oh no, he's the evolution. He's the next guy. He's the evolution.
And a lot of people are like, well, he's skinny and he got. There's a.
Oh no. Hold on. Man. Let me look at this 10-second YouTube clip and say, oh man, you might not want to draft Wemby. Shut up.
People forget what Giannis looked like.
Come on,
his rookie season.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Like there's not weights you can lift in the offseason. Let's stop it, y'all.
But I just can't get behind the Hornets just purposefully looking bad.
It's not going to happen, y'all. It brings me to my next point. Let me tell Hornets fans something real quick. If the Hornets don't work on changing the culture of this team, guess what, y'all? It ain't going to matter who you draft.
That's true.
It ain't going to matter. So you better start planting these seeds and changing the culture of this team, which is, again, why I said guys like DSJ are important when going forward when you're doing that. You notice how LaMelo Ball has not been creating the silly fouls as much. You notice how he hadn't been, how it seems like he's a little more focused.
Yeah. He had one last night. I think he got caught up in the moment.
Right.
He took a pretty bad
shot
late in the game,
right? But
where
overall,
we needed a bucket.
But overall, have you noticed a more calm LaMelo? Is it just me? Let me know if I'm wrong, okay?
Winning solves a lot of problems.
No. But here's my thing. I think LaMelo Ball's growth right before our eyes is contributing to us.
I agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, they interviewed him after the game, and this may come across as no big deal to a lot of y'all. Let me be very clear. Fans are going to say, oh, man, that's not a big deal. That's just speak. They asked LaMelo Ball, what was the key to winning the game, right? You know what he said? He said, hey, we listened to coach's game plan and we followed the game plan. I have never heard LaMelo Ball answer a question like that. I don't know about anybody else.
In fact, of recent, LaMelo's post-game interviews have been kind of like
boring.
Calm? Yeah, like he can't wait to get the hell up out of Charlotte, But think about I think Mark Williams. Let's talk about Mark Williams.
He loves playing with Mark, man.
I think he really likes playing with Mark Williams, and him and Miles Bridges are, for what we know, best friends, right?
Right.
Like Miles Bridges is forging your autograph to sell your rookie card.
That ain't some big.
That's best friends, right?
That ain't some big brother shit.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
And then your best friend gets hemmed up, catches a charge, and you're not playing with him anymore. Right. It's not fun anymore, right? You're a pro. You're gonna go out and play, but it's not fun.
Right.
And then this 7'2"
your new best friend.
New best friend. You can't outlob Mark Williams.
Right.
He blocking everything. He makes it easier for you to play defense. And he even said in an interview that he likes playing. I like playing with Mark Williams. So I think that has a lot to do with the change that we've seen in LaMelo recently.
Yeah.
It's fun for him again.
Yeah.
You got Mark Williams and even Nick Richards, although they don't play a lot on the floor together. But with Nick Richards, you get a drop off from Mark Williams, but you get the same style of play. Right. And I think that fits better for what LaMelo wants to do. For instance, as much as Mason Plumlee did some good things for the team, but a lot of times he took the ball out of LaMelo's hands, right?
Right.
And I don't think LaMelo liked that. The offense sometimes would run through Mason Plumlee.
I agree with that. Man.
Right. Now,
I totally agree with
you'll never get Mark Williams bringing the ball up court.
Right. He's a center doing center things.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I was never mad at Mason Plumlee for doing that because he was a really skilled passer. You know what I mean? He didn't turn the ball over a lot when he did do that. I was never personally mad at that, but I could see that point of Melo saying, "Look, man,
yeah,
I'm the driver here, bro.
Right?
I'm the point guard. You go be a center. You know what I'm saying?
Go park yourself in the paint. Go park yourself
and let me get you a basket.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think LaMelo really, really loves that.
No doubt.
I do want to talk about this situation. Hornets got to figure out what they're gonna do with one of these two cats, Kai Jones and JT Thor.
I agree. Well, you know how I feel about JT.
Got to do something, bro.
You know how I feel about JT
You
But
gotta commit to one or the other.
I'll say this. Let me say this, because again, if we get that guy next year, there's a serious log jam at 3 and 4. You know what I mean? So that's going to make it even tougher for them to decide, hey, man, what are we going to do with them? Now, in my personal opinion, I'm saying we drafted Kai first round, and we knew the kind of project he was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we were going to have.
We traded draft picks to get him.
Draft picks to get this dude. And not only that, but we knew we had to have a level of patience with Kai Jones because he was so raw. So if it's me, if I'm Jamal Kupchak, I'm like, all right, here's the guy I'm really invested in. Now, easy for me to say because I just don't understand why JT Thor is out there half the time. However, to your point, you traded picks to get this guy.
Right.
You got to invest in that guy, man. That guy being Kai Jones.
I agree. Plus, if you don't get anything from Kai or Book Knight, that draft is a wash. And I remember we were so excited draft night that they ended up getting Book Knight and then trading up and got Kai Jones.
But speaking of Book Knight, real quick, look at the news we broke just beginning of the show. Look what they just invested in
Bryce McGowan.
Bryce McGowan.
But I feel like they'll say, okay, well, Book Knight didn't work out, but we can because if you're looking at raw potential, Kai Jones still has it over JT Thor. The guy can still jump out of the building. And when he comes in, I feel like he wants to do well.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's out there hustling.
To be fair, I think JT Thor is the same way. I think the effort is there. I never questioned.
Sometimes he's tepid. He had a wide open 3 last night that he passed up to give to Rozier. Rozier missed the 3, and he was slightly more covered.
I remember that.
And I remember thinking, that's a confidence issue.
That's a confidence issue. No doubt. No doubt.
So I don't think Kai would have those confidence issues. This is tough for Clifford.
I want to say one more thing about Kai Jones. Let me know if y'all agree with this. And Kai, let me know if you agree with this. Here I do have one concern about Kai Jones. Here's my concern with Kai Jones. I think every workout that we see with Kai Jones and every every G League highlight that we see with Kai Jones, I feel like Kai Jones wants to be a 6'11" guard.
Yeah.
And I don't think that might not be the way to go.
Well, but he played mostly center in college. He did play a little bit at the 4.
I guess that's my point.
But it's the Frank Kaminsky problem, right?
Right.
Lo and behold, go figure it's Steve Clifford again, right?
Right.
Kaminsky played center in college. He was
stretch 4 here.
He was probably the best center in college. I know everyone hates Frank Kaminsky, but he was. Right?
Yeah.
He comes into the NBA and scouts and coaches felt like he couldn't play center at the NBA level, which I disagree with, but I digress.
Same.
So they make him a stretch 4, right?
Right.
And I see Kaminsky in the offseason, he's working on his handles and his step backs and pull-ups.
Right.
Nah, bro.
No. And then lo and behold, what happens in the playoffs against the Heat? Michael Jordan, Pat Ewing says, hey, man, you might want to put him in the post.
Right.
And then
goes 15-8 and we win the game, right? I think we run to that same situation with Kai Jones. Clifford doesn't want to put him at center because he feels like
he ain't big enough.
He's not big enough.
He's not.
So now he's got to learn the skills to be stretch 4. Which
may not be it.
Which is tough for someone like Kai, whose basketball abilities are raw anyway.
Right. And look, man, and to be fair, the kid's only 18 years old. He's got a long.
I don't want to see the Hornets give up on Kai Jones.
I don't, man, because we say this all the time about Kai Jones, man. That raw talent is just way too much to give up on.
Right.
Yeah, man. I agree.
So I need, just make him and JT Thor like battle to the death in practice one day. Whoever wins gets the playing time. So let's talk about Brandon Miller. Okay.
Yeah.
So Brandon Miller.
Sorry.
Out of Alabama.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Probably top 5, right?
Here's a hot take. Brandon Miller going talent wise. He
be
3, bro.
Yeah, he's that good.
He's that good, man.
And a lot of people have been attaching him to the Charlotte Hornets.
41 last week,
man. The guy's a killer. I didn't mean to say that. Actually, I did not mean to say that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no pun intended. But a friend of his murdered his girlfriend with Brandon Miller's gun. And what makes it even worse was that he texted Brandon Miller and asked him to bring the gun.
Right.
Now, Brandon Miller didn't know he was going to kill his girlfriend with that gun. And what ended up happening was he brought the gun. It was in Brandon Miller's car. An altercation broke out. Dude went and got the gun and shot some people with it. Right. And they determined, through text messages that he asked Brandon Miller to bring the gun. Now, Brandon Miller has been cleared of any wrongdoing because he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't shoot anybody, and it's not against the law to let somebody borrow your gun if you don't know what they're going to do with it, right? Or just in his case, he had it in his car and his friend took it. However, given the Hornets and the Miles Bridges situation, if you draft Brandon Miller, the media
is going
to descend upon the Charlotte Hornets.
Absolutely.
They are going to.
And when you say media, the national
media.
Which historically, the only thing national media has been interested in is Michael Jordan when it comes to the Hornets. You draft Brandon Miller, that changes, bro.
Yep.
Watch. Okay. No, it doesn't change. It actually adds heat to Michael Jordan. But
Brandon Miller is going to go to some other team, and you'll never hear about. In fact, when he's an all-star 5-6 years from now, there's going to be some little mini doc, like introspective interview before the all-star game, talking about how much he grew from that. Right?
He'll be remorseful.
Right. It'll be showing like the slow fade outs of pictures when he was a kid. Right. Yeah. That's what it's going to be like. Right. But if he comes to the Hornets, there will be none of that.
There will be none of that, bro.
It will be, wow, they went from Miles Bridges to Brandon Miller. No, it wasn't the roommate's gun. It was Brandon Miller's gun. He did admit to that, and they showed the text that showed that. But now I get Brandon Miller's young, but he did something in the very next game that
it gives you pause.
Right. So during the player intros, the players are coming out of the tunnel. During his intro, he stopped, put his hands up, and someone came up and frisked him.
If that's not tone deaf, I don't know what it is, man.
You have to take these things more seriously.
Dude. Okay, you're happy that you didn't get exonerated, convicted, whatever. How are you not sensitive to this young lady's family?
Thank you. Somebody died.
How in the world do you not think to yourself, man, this may be disrespectful to this young lady's family?
And even though you didn't do it, you had some very indirect involvement. Yes, there was a connection.
Right. There's a connection there, bro.
Your gun will always be tied to the death of an innocent person.
That's pretty ignorant, man.
I thought that was just a really, really
classless.
That was classless.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't just a bad look.
And look, man, and Alabama's coach Oates. How do you not pull him to the side and tell him you can't do that? How do you not discipline him for that, man?
So I gotta ask though, if he's on the board when we pick, what do you do? Because who else would you pick?
I'm gonna answer the question like this, Kaiser.
If Scoot, Amen, Wemby are gone, and Brandon Miller sitting right there,
I'm gonna indirectly answer your question. If the Hornets pass up on him and the guy don't pan out, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna say anymore. If you draft a guy after him and this guy is just some guy, he don't change a franchise, he's never made an all-star game, he's another Cody Zeller.
Right.
What's gonna happen?
Michael Jordan will definitely have to sell the team at that point. I mean, here's the thing. The Hornets Cam Whitmore, great name, by the way. That's another good one.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, all these guys are very good. I think Wemby is the only one that instantly makes you like.
I stay away from Amen because he can't shoot, and I don't want any more guys who can't shoot. But outside of that, yeah, all these guys make you better.
See, here's a great question: Are you worried it may be like book night? How many players? The Hornets have a problem with this. Going all the way back to PJ Harrison, right?
Yeah.
I remember I was very excited when
Same.
they drafted PJ Harrison.
Same.
And he ended up having these same issues.
Yeah, maturity issues. Yep.
Malik Monk.
Yep.
Now James Bouknight.
Right.
Do you want to roll the dice on a guy like Christian Wood before him?
Yeah,
you know, so I don't know what the Hornets got to do because I do think maybe that was part of the reason they let James Borrego go. We'll never know. Right. But maybe they felt like, okay, Clifford can come whip these dudes into shape.
Right.
And
I mean, this season is just kind of weird to really
bring Mike Dunlap back. Mike.
There wouldn't
have been any of this with Mike Dunlap. Mike Dunlap he had to get fired because Mike was like, "Oh, hold up, bro. Got these guys on lock
it's
now."
Basketball. It ain't a military camp, Dunlap.
Right? Yeah, that'd be none of this. You think? Remember Bouknight trying to fight James Borrego on the sideline?
Oh, listen. There's player coach, and then there's Mike Dunlap. They're way apart, bro.
That would have been a good fight. Mike Dunlap versus James Bouknight.
I don't know. You remember when Ben Gordon,
Gordon
and Dunlap got into it? Ben Gordon said something to him, and that ended up getting Dunlap fired, and Ben Gordon was traded anyway. So, yeah, that worked out.
All right. Yeah. So the Hornets' upcoming schedule. Let's see. By the next time you see us, they play Detroit tomorrow. Jalen Duren versus Mark Wood.
Yeah, finally.
Although Jalen Duren has an ankle injury, he may not play tomorrow. And if he does, and Mark Williams dominates, it'll be Jalen Duren's ankle
was hurt. Man. You can't really count that, dog. We ain't really see the real Jalen Duren.
We play Detroit, Phoenix, Orlando, and then Brooklyn Sunday night.
I'm playing it safe, 2-2.
Yeah, so I think the Hornets. So we got embarrassed fairly recently by Orlando and Detroit.
Yeah, and I think we owe them some get back.
And we owe them some get back.
We're playing better.
Yeah. We're healthy. Mark Williams has arrived.
Yep.
I think the Hornets win those games.
Far as Phoenix goes, of course, Kevin Durant picks that particular game to possibly come back. And even without Kevin Durant, Phoenix has just owned us ever since Chris Paul's got there. I don't think we've won a game since Chris Paul became a Phoenix Sun. And not only do we not win, they just kick our ass every time we play them. So the Suns is an L, unfortunately. So, or fortunately, if you're a tank commander. So,
yeah. Now Brooklyn. We're playing.
We could be 3-1 this week.
Yeah, because. Of course, they got to be. You just can't lose a player like Kevin Durant and be fine, be okay. No. Yeah. And Brooklyn, to be fair, we always played them pretty close, even when they had Kevin Durant.
That is very true.
Now they don't have.
We even won a couple of times,
right?
Yeah.
So they don't have Durant or Irving now. That could be a winnable game.
I'm just saying 2-2 because I just don't want to be getting too excited about this team winning.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course now. I agree. 2-2. Here's the thing though. I'm happy with whatever happens with the Hornets.
I'm in a good place with the Hornets.
Yep, right exactly. If they lose, great.
Hey, cool.
If they win, great.
Even better. I mean, cool too.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Although I will say this. Last night I wanted to win so bad.
Let me tell you something. Let me look into the camera. There are a few things in this world that I enjoy more than beating the Miami Heat. I have a deep, special hatred for the Miami Heat. I hate the Miami Heat.
Yes.
I have hated the Miami Heat even before LeBron James got there. Now, when LeBron James was with the Heat, that was the height of my Miami Heat hate. But I don't care what the circumstances are. It does bad things to me when we lose to the Miami Heat. So I'm so glad they won.
I've never liked any of the other teams that came in the league when we came in. Those four or the other three teams, Orlando, Minnesota, and Miami. And except for the Timberwolves, Orlando and Miami have had relatively more success than the Hornets in the past 30-plus years.
Let's be clear about the Magic. They had way more luck.
That's what I'm saying. Both those teams, for Orlando to end up
in their timeline
with Shaq,
Penny, Dwight Howard,
yep.
and Pancho, whatever.
Banchero.
The
number one pick. Yeah. Must be nice.
And then for the Miami Heat, they just got good because they're in Miami.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even though their Coliseum was in the ghetto. It was in the hood.
And with the Magic, the Wagner brothers make it very easy to hate the Orlando Magic these days. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's go to this next topic because it's kind of Hornets related. Before we do have a little bit of Panthers talk, but I don't know if you guys have been following this news, but
which is kind of welcome news to a lot.
Right? Yeah. Some of you may like this news. Bally Sports is essentially going to declare bankruptcy.
I know Vince is happy about that.
Yeah, and so now it's up in the air about what's going to happen with these deals that the Bally Sports regional affiliates have with their regional teams, like the Charlotte Hornets, who are affiliated with Bally Sports South. Now, the history behind that is that Fox Sports, had an exclusive deal with Spectrum TV, at least in our region, Spectrum TV and DirecTV. So you could not watch Hornets games or Hurricanes games on any other streaming services. So a lot of us have cut the cable. People are using Hulu and YouTube and Amazon to get their live TV because it's cheaper than cable. But if you're using any of those services, then you simply couldn't watch the Hornets. So after Disney bought Fox out, they also acquired all of the regional sports networks. And Disney, already owning ESPN, said, no, we don't want that. Or it could be the federal government stepped in and said, no, you can't have ESPN and Fox Sports.
Right.
We don't know what happened there, but whatever the case, they put the regional sports up for sale, and Bally came in and said, hey, you know what? We'll buy it. And they paid an absurd amount. I think it was $19 billion. I'm not sure about that, but I think that was the number I read. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, it was just a lot of money.
Absurd number.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they find out that, it's a money-losing proposition because a lot of fans are just simply willing to go without watching sports live or using illegal streaming services to watch their favorite teams play.
Right.
So then Bally comes out with the Bally Live app, which isn't that bad, honestly. It's actually pretty good, but it's $20 a month.
Why should you have to pay?
Yeah. You're telling me I got to pay $20 a month in addition to whatever live TV services I pay for to watch my favorite team, like to support them? Absolutely. Oh, and I still get ads.
Yeah.
I pay $20 a month and I still got to watch all the advertisements. Right.
Right.
So Bally hadn't been able to make any money so far from this endeavor. And they're saying, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And the thing is, nobody else wants this regional sports network. So the word on the street is that it's just going to fall apart. But then where does that leave teams like the Hornets and the Denver Nuggets, who also had a major, major issue with their regional sports network and fans not being able to watch the games? Carolina Hurricanes, Charlotte FC last night. Jamal's like, hey, how do I watch Charlotte FC game? You got
Apple TV.
You got to,
of all places.
Yeah.
Apple TV has a great picture, but I don't want to watch no damn soccer on Apple TV. I want to watch it on Channel 8.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Channel 10, whatever.
I don't want to pay for Apple TV just to watch Charlotte FC play.
Right.
So what's the solution here? And is this a good thing for Hornets fans in particular, or?
See, here's the thing. It could potentially be a bad thing for Hornets fans, and not just Hornets fans, but anybody else who's affiliated with this. Because here's the thing. Right now, it's been quoted that teams are not really worried about it right now. Because as we know, bankruptcy is a process. Like there's no court that's going to just take games off the air at the moment. Bankruptcy is protection. That's what the definition of bankruptcy is: protecting you from the consequences of defaulting loans or whatever. So it's a very long process before we even get to the point of games being off the air.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why teams are not worried about it right now.
Okay, there was an Orlando Magic representative who's saying, "Hey, our games are still going to be on TV. We ain't worried about it." I mean, not direct quote, but you get what I'm saying. Now, in the future, if this doesn't work out, the fan may lose out because if the local affiliates are not yet prepared to do whatever they have to do to broadcast games locally, we all could lose out. And then we paying $20-$30 to some streaming device just to watch games at that point. So I hope it doesn't get to that point. I don't know what look, I'm not a business guy. I don't know what the solution is to rectify the bankruptcy proceedings. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. All I know is they have a while before they can get it rectified before we even have to worry about it. And when I say we, I mean the fans.
Yeah. And plus the NBA doesn't want to lose any money.
Right.
They're going
to say they don't step in at some point.
I think they will step in at some point and say, okay, Charlotte Hornets, you guys are going to have to do something, which I think the Hornets would love to be able to step out of that contract and make
something locally popular.
Exactly.
Don't you miss that? Do you remember the old days when
WJZY? Yeah.
That was pretty cool, right?
Well, and back then, a lot of people don't realize this, but you couldn't watch home games locally. You had to listen on the radio.
Due to NBA.
Right, blackout rules.
You know what's funny? You could watch more Chicago Bulls games.
WGN, yep.
I
used to. That's why everyone thinks that people here love Michael Jordan because he played in North Carolina, which is true. But I used to watch
kids our age watch WGN, which showed all the Chicago Bulls games. Exactly.
I used to watch if the Hornets weren't playing, or a lot of times I'd have the Bulls game on TV and the Hornets game on the radio at the same time. So I don't know if you could ever go back to that because I don't know what the revenue sharing and split is like that. And but they've got to be able to do something. You have to make it easier for fans to watch the games of the team of their local team. So
and fans, if you have a problem with the Hornets TV arrangements, just know that the Hornets they don't have any control over that.
Ultimately, I think that the best thing to do would be to allow Bally to get underneath or from under their exclusive contracts with local cable providers and DirecTV.
Right, no doubt.
And allow them.
I agree.
It just allow them to have their games on Hulu, YouTube, Amazon, whatever.
Because those guys are greedy, man.
They are.
They are super greedy.
They are. I mean,
I look, I know how much my cable bill is a month, and somebody explained why my cable bill is so much, and it's because of those networks.
Absolutely. They won't. Spectrum will not allow you to separate their sports packages. Right. So,
and they got you by the balls.
Yeah, you have to get the silver package in order to get the sports networks, which has Bally Sports. You can't say, "Oh, I just want Bally Sports a la carte," or whatever.
It always has to be connected to Spectrum,
right?
Yeah,
and
or whomever.
Same with DirecTV, which DirecTV does have a streaming live TV service. But the thing is most people already have Hulu or YouTube or Amazon Prime for different reasons, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So, hopefully that will be worked out by next season, and we can get more people with eyes on the Hornets, because I don't think a lot of people actually watch the Hornets. I hear people talk about the Hornets, and I'm like,
you don't say.
Somebody said when Jalen McDaniels was traded, they couldn't understand why we made that trade because he was one of our key young pieces. What? He was?
Stop outing yourselves, guys.
Right.
If you don't watch games.
Right, yeah.
Man.
Word, he was? Like, that's new to me.
That was news to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know a late second round pick.
We liked him for what he was, but a key young piece?
A cornerstone to the franchise?
No,
really?
Absolutely not. And then I saw another thing came out. It was a list of every team's best defender. Jalen McDaniels was listed as the Hornets' best defender.
Oh, boy.
Now, okay, Cody Martin's been injured all season, so okay. But anyone who's watched the Hornets play this season knows that Dennis Smith Jr. has been the Hornets' best defender. So
I'm sorry, repeat that last thing. Anybody who's
watched the games this season.
Watch the games, guys.
Yep. Okay, all right. So we do have a little bit of Carolina Panthers talk. Sources say that the Panthers will not be pursuing former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr
Thank God.
in the offseason.
Yeah, that's good
Now,
news.
last week we talked about the possibility of bringing Derek Carr and what that meant for the Panthers, but the Panthers have said, nah. To me, this indicates
I know what you're gonna say.
they all in on the draft.
Yep.
And the Chicago Bears probably getting a phone call 2-3 times a day.
I hope so. I would hope so.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, someone made a good point about CJ Stroud. Ohio State quarterbacks.
I want to hear it. La 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 la. I want to hear it. But go ahead.
They have a terrible track record in the NFL.
Fair point.
They're all bad.
Fair point.
To the point where Kentucky's quarterback Will Levis is like above him on the draft board. Now, some people are comparing him to Josh Allen. I don't know about
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, Ohio State QBs have a bad record, but Kentucky quarterback. So I think Bryce Young, right?
Right. And the knock on Bryce Young is that he's too short. That's the knock on Bryce Young. But Jalen Hurts is
Jalen Hurts. Drew Brees. Drew Brees was barely 6 foot.
Who terrorized us for 12 years. But yeah.
So my question is, since the Panthers are not interested in Derek Carr, what should they do?
What they should have been doing either way. What I've been saying the whole time: move up. That was Christian McCaffrey picks. Hey man, don't waste those Christian McCaffrey picks. Move up. Again, man, get off the damn hamster wheel. And let me address this CJ Stroud Ohio State thing that's going on with the quarterbacks, man. I'm gonna let you know like this, man. I trust my eyes. Okay, I watch a lot. I watch a good amount of college football. I'm not gonna say a lot, but I watch a good amount of college football. And for some reason, I watched a lot of Ohio State games the last 2 seasons. Now, Kaiser, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not trying to boast. But draft night, last draft, when I told you and Rodney, I said, hey, man, there's this guy named Chris Olave that reminds me a lot of Jerry Rice. And Rodney looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I'm telling you, Chris Olave is really good, bro.
You did.
Chris Olave is what? He's the rookie of the year. And why am I mentioning this? Because, again, I've watched a lot of Ohio State games. You pass upon C.J. Stroud in this draft when you have an opportunity, it's going to be the biggest mistake the Carolina Panthers have made since I don't know when.
Absolutely.
I get the narrative in the past. You bet. I'm telling you, listen, C.J. Stroud is not that guy. When I say not that guy, he's not these bums that Ohio State has trotted in the NFL the last 10 or 15 years. He ain't that.
I mean, even Justin Fields, it's unfair to say that about Justin Fields considering he's only got a season under his belt. Right. And, I mean, it's the Chicago Bears, dog. I mean,
whose offense has been terrible for how many years now?
So yeah, I think I don't think you trade picks to get Stroud. I think if you're gonna make a move, make a deal to Chicago, then you take Bryce Young. If you have a chance to get Stroud,
Bryce Young's a safe pick.
That's true.
I think Bryce Young. When I say safe, I mean Bryce Young is probably projected. He's been projected to be number 1 forever. You know what I mean? So
that's true. Yeah.
In that sense, I believe he's a safe pick.
But I think the Panthers will clearly make some kind of move. I think that's
same.
Yeah. If they're like, okay, we're not going after Derek Carr, we're going to make a move.
Let me say one last thing. Oh, by the way, Kaiser, in the latest mock drafts, guess who's projected to be number 2? You want to take a guess? Mr. C.J. Stroud. Yeah.
Well, so I said after that bowl game, he was going to shoot up the draft boards.
Hello.
Yeah. And
hello. All I'm saying is that we've been right before. I'm gonna keep it at that, man.
Some people though believe that we should just keep our picks and go beat
Levis or Richardson
or go BPA.
Let me speak to that real quick, man. Because in the last, I kind of been following this the last couple of days. last couple of days, man, I've been seeing people say, man, Anthony Richardson, he might be the next Michael Vick. And let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all something right now. No, just no. To me, Stroud is the sure shot. Or Bryce Young. Bryce Young and Stroud are the sure shot. There's too many guessing. There's too many question marks with Levis and Richardson and whoever else they're projecting around our pick. No, I don't want question marks, man. I want somebody I'm like, man, we good.
Right.
Yeah.
The NFL is changing, particularly the quarterback position, so much where I think it's really difficult to scout quarterbacks now. Way more difficult than it used to be, because quarterbacks do so many more things in college now than they did before, and there's still a lot of questions about whether a truly mobile quarterback can thrive in the NFL.
By the way, latest mock drafts have Levis and Richardson out of the top 10. Just wanted to throw that out there real quick, but go ahead, sir.
So
we've been right before. That's all I'm saying, man.
You got to do. You traded Christian McCaffrey. Now you have to make good on that return on investment. And either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I think, are
correction. I'm sorry. Will Levis has actually moved up. So, and let me give you my observation on Will Levis. The talent is there. Big, strong arm, tall, got big guy. The prototypical quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what you worry about with Will Levis: turning the ball over. He threw like 17 interceptions last year, man.
In college, that's not good.
Again, question marks, right?
Yeah.
I don't want question marks.
Good point. In a press conference earlier this week, Deuce Staley, the running backs coach for Carolina Panthers, was asked about
him already, man.
Yeah. He was asked about D'Onta Foreman.
Yeah.
And he essentially said he's not Scott Fitter.
That's a very real answer.
Real answer. But I mean, I was like, Scott Fitter's not even a GM, so what is he talking about? Like, we still don't know who the GM.
Said, well, I'm not Matt Rule.
Yeah. Matt Rule could still secretly be the GM of the Carolina Panthers for all we know. We don't know who the real GM is of this team. But we've had this conversation on here before, but now, I mean, sometime here very soon, probably right after the draft or right before, they're going to have to make a decision on Foreman.
Right. And he wants upward of $10 million.
A lot of people are saying pay that man.
Right.
Did you pay him?
That's tough. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Because we've seen, if Rodney was here today, he would say no. You don't pay running backs.
I'm leaning towards no myself, quite honestly.
You don't pay running backs.
I'm leaning towards no. Because here's the thing, man. With him and Hubbard being in the backfield, you lose one of those guys and you give more carries to the other guy. Are you really missing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Chuba Hubbard had a pretty good season, actually.
Chuba Hubbard looks like he's ascending. It looks like he's getting better. So it's just like, and I'm speaking strictly just from a salary cap management point, because if there was no such thing as a salary cap, I want both of those guys back. I think they did an incredible job last year. But,
absolutely.
Panthers got a lot to manage when it comes to the salary cap this offseason. And there's still some holes that need to be filled. We still need a linebacker. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I lean towards no, only because of salary cap stuff. And I just don't know if I pay him $10 million, man. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I 100% agree. But here's the thing, though. Although they say don't pay running backs, if you have a good one, you should probably keep him, right?
Right.
Because now you gotta, and like you said, if you let Foreman go, well, now you got Chuba, but now you gotta find the guy who's behind him, right?
We gotta find the other guy, yeah.
And when you bring in a new coaching staff with the express intent of we're going to be an offensive team now, right?
Right.
To be clear, that doesn't mean just pass the ball every down, right?
Right.
That means that you are just better offensively across the board.
Right.
You have to have a good running game to be a good offensive team. You have to.
Listen, the team who just won the Super Bowl, we know who's going to get the credit, but Jerick McKinnon, the running back, actually had a very big impact on winning that Super Bowl.
However, though, they traded. Remember, a lot of people said after they traded Hill that they were okay.
Yeah.
Now Mahomes don't got no weapons now.
Yeah,
they didn't need any because
they still won the
Patrick.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's interesting. If the Panthers paid for him, and I wouldn't be upset.
Either way, I wouldn't be upset either.
Yeah,
they still got some holes to fill though.
Because they're not going to get Lamar Jackson.
I think I've given up on that dream as well.
The amount of money he wants is absurd. I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson.
Just don't go to the Falcons, man. Please, God, don't let Lamar Jackson go to the Falcons. That's all I ask. Did I just depress you? Your face.
Yeah, because that possibility didn't even cross. I'm like, damn, man.
I'm sorry.
But see, Arthur Blank, he would pay.
Oh, please. Hell yeah.
And the thing is, Tepper would too, but Tepper gets way more heat for maybe some Falcons fans out there can correct me, but it feels like Tepper gets more heat for the Panthers being bad than Arthur Blank does for the Falcons being bad.
I think because the Charlotte fan base is in a different place with
exactly.
both of our owners.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
I never hear anyone talk about how much of a bad owner Arthur Blank is.
Right.
And I mean, in terms of how successful the two franchises have been since the Panthers came into the league, they're about even, right?
Let's be fair. I think the Falcons have made moves that have made sense, but on the football field, it just hadn't worked out like they have wanted it to. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I think the front office doesn't get a lot of heat from Falcons fans. Again, if there's Falcons fans out there, y'all can correct us, but from the outside looking in, that's how it looks. So
plus Arthur Blank, though, I mean, the Falcons have had no problems firing coaches, GMs, whatever. Right. They're like, okay, you suck. It's time to get some turnover in here. Okay, so we weren't going to talk about this, but Swagner brought it up. Rams released Bobby Wagner and they're talking about trading Jalen Ramsey. Should the Panthers move on that?
Bobby Wagner? Hell yeah. I'd be all over Bobby Wagner.
That's like Luke Kuechly light.
Thank you.
I'm really surprised they just released Bobby Wagner.
I'm not, because they kind of went all in on that Super Bowl team. When I say all in, they went all the way in. Yeah. So their salary cap is like super, super tight right now. So I'm not surprised from that aspect. With that being said, you cut Bobby Wagner and kind of feels like we wouldn't have to kind of bear the burden of paying him that much. You get what I'm saying? If I'm the Panthers, I'd jump all over that, man. I'm sorry, man.
Bobby Wagner, it was like Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, and Levante David. That was the hierarchy and there were some Seattle fans that would swear up and down that Bobby Wagner was better than Luke Kuechly.
Dude, let me paint this picture. Bobby Wagner, possibly Shaq Thompson, because he may be a cap casualty. But let's just say cap. Let's push it out the window for a second. Wagner, Thompson, and Louvu. You don't get excited about that, man.
However,
Panthers
are switching to a 3-4 defense next season.
Then there's that. But there is that, though.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Do we have enough time to even talk about that? I don't.
I'm not a fan. Sorry. I just, with the personnel we have in the 3-4, somebody needs to make it.
You got to have the personnel, right? Yeah, so when you have a defense like Carolina that played pretty solidly the last two seasons, and then you're like, okay, we're switching to a 3-4. It's like, wow, that's a step back.
Right, man.
Right.
Why make that adjustment when you don't have to?
Now, Brian Burns may be okay playing in a 3-4.
Because he can rush from the outside.
Right, yeah. But do we have the guys in, like...
I think Brown's going to suffer from playing.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Essentially, okay, now you're like the nose.
Right.
Just straight up, right?
You don't have that help that you're used to.
Exactly.
You don't have Anderson on the other side.
And then do we even have the linebacker core? Okay, you get Bobby Wagner, that makes helps. Things easier. So then you got, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Shaq Thompson, and then Brian Burns.
Right.
Might not be a bad.
I'm just concerned about that middle. You know what I'm saying? Like we're so used to having those bookends at nose tackle. We've always
so what if you got Wagner and Shaq Thompson in the middle, and then Louvu and Burns on the outside?
Listen, on paper, it sounds great on paper, but is that going to translate to the field when you have guys who, quite frankly, haven't played in the 3-4 defense. So it's just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know about
man.
that move. This is
Same,
the
man.
first question mark from the new coaching staff that I'm like,
Same. I'm with you, man.
You've got to. So whenever you make a change like that, it's got to pay dividends immediately.
Right. No
the
doubt.
Panthers can't suck on defense next season.
They can't.
They cannot.
I agree.
Because they were good on defense this season.
You can't take a step back.
Yeah. So so you have to say, okay, we're switching to 3-4 because I feel like we can be better in the 3-4. Well, you better be better. So,
I agree.
As far as Jalen Ramsey, yeah, you try and go get him, man.
I mean,
sure.
I didn't mention Jalen Ramsey because I just think it's a pipe dream. Somebody's gonna pay him top dollar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So listen, hell yeah, I'd love to have Jalen Ramsey. He's probably
well, they're talking about trading him.
Okay.
So he's still under contract. So we could get him, but
hey, if they take Dante Jackson with whatever.
But still, though, I wouldn't mind having Jackson in the slot.
I'd give him up for Ramsey. Ramsey and Horn, man, please.
Oh yeah, of course,
I don't even care what we have.
Well, you put CJ in the slot.
That's where he belongs anyway. We see what happened when CJ was on the outside.
Yeah,
that was disastrous. So
I might, but I'd rather give them CJ and put Dante in the slot. Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's that Madden trade, right?
I know. Yeah. All right.
What else we got, man? Hey, commenters, y'all got anything for us, man? Like, what's on y'all mind?
Since we're back in the studio, we might as well give y'all some extra content.
New restaurants, man. You know, anybody got anything new going on, man? What y'all got for us? I don't think we ask y'all enough of that sometimes, man. So,
that's true.
Yeah, so if y'all got anything for us, ask us some questions before we get out of here. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon. But anybody? Kaz, what's for dinner tonight, man? What you got going on tonight, man?
Man, I was gonna hit up the Rib Man, but I don't know.
Same, I was too.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I passed him on the way to you. He's right around the corner.
Oh, that's right. House, yeah, he be smelling good, man.
Whew,
is he on Brookshire or Roswell's Ferry today?
He's on Brookshire. Okay. On every Sunday, he's on Brookshire.
See, sometimes I don't like going to Brookshire because he's got a longer line at Brookshire.
Yeah.
And more crackheads come ask you for money. I mean, they do. On Roswell's Ferry, when he's on Roswell's Ferry, the line don't seem to be as long. I don't think a lot of people know he's there. That's probably why he's at Brookshire. Yeah. Most of the time. Shout out to Rib Man.
Rib Man is excellent. Dude.
Great barbecue. Miami style barbecue too.
Yeah. I didn't even know Miami style barbecue was a thing.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Have we been to Thomas Davis?
Yo, yeah. How you missed that? Yeah,
my bad. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah. You know, I don't leave the house.
True. But Swag to answer the question, I pass by it all the time, and I keep telling myself like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna go check it out," and I just never do. But I feel like we kind of need to go check it out.
Yeah, I feel like
you know what? Why don't me and you do lunch one day? Let's go check it out and let's give our review.
Okay, that's a dope idea. Let's certainly do that.
I know you don't leave the house, but just one day.
I'll leave the house. Yeah, I'll put on a mask and a hoodie and.
Yeah,
no, that's a great idea. Yeah,
we'll rate the food, ambiance, all that good stuff, man. Yeah,
dope. Thanks, Swagner, for that.
Yeah, man. Somebody else got a question down there.
Thoughts on the Finnish coaching staff? Okay.
It looked great on paper.
On paper, man. I mean,
hey, props to Tepper.
Yeah, I think Tepper has done a really good job. I don't want to keep harping on Steve Wilkes. Right. I still feel like I
kind of want to move on, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he deserved opportunity, but it didn't happen. So I think Frank Reich objectively is a pretty good hire. But I feel like everyone that was hired after him are better hires.
No doubt, man.
And to bring someone like Dom Capers back into the fold and Jim Caldwell as assistants to kind of like mentor the rest of the coaching staff.
That is A+ hiring, man. Quite.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
to Caldwell and Capers as your advisors, you can't ask for anything.
You could have hired them as coaches.
Right.
Yeah. And to get them in a secondary role.
I just have one question. What in the hell was Dom Capers thinking about?
Just dog.
What do you
dog? It ain't coming back. It's not 1996.
Why he got Michael Vick's hair on top of his head? What the hell was that? Anyway,
dog. No, I think here's the problem though. With this is a good problem to have, but with assembling such a coaching staff,
too many egos in the room. Maybe
I think they'll do a good job of filtering that out. You better win. Listen. You better win.
Because Tepper will fire all of y'all.
Yeah, so because Tepper took the backlash from not getting Steve Wilkes' job, right?
Right.
And fans are still mad about that.
He'll catch all the heat for that. No doubt.
If Frank Reich comes in and they're winning games, no one's gonna remember. Yep, no one's gonna remember Steve Wilkes, right? You start losing,
man,
and it's particularly if you start losing because of poor coaching decisions,
right?
Like, man, we should have gone for 2 or whatever, boy.
Ooh, the heat. Man, listen.
And particularly given how Frank Reich was drummed out of Indianapolis.
No doubt.
For essentially sucking that this past season. Boy, that's the expectations are so high. The division is wide open. Anybody can win it.
Tom Brady's gone.
Yep, we've got a top pick.
Yep.
All-star coaching staff.
The opportunity's there, man.
You better win the division.
You better win. Seriously, that's a realistic request from fans.
You were 1 game out of winning the division last season.
Why can't you go win a division next
year? You
have
to win it. And you can't just like sneak in with
bro.
like a 10-7 record.
Definitively
yeah.
Division. No doubt, man.
You need at least 12 wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe with a 17-game schedule, maybe 13.
Yeah.
13-4. Like, you got to win.
I'll be a tad bit lenient, and I don't even know why, but you better at least win 10 games next year, man.
You have to at least win 10, and even then, I'd be like,
you could have did better.
We could have won 10 games with Wilkes and McAdoo.
Yep.
Now,
but like one more thing. A lot of this depends on the quarterback you go get in the offseason. Let me say that one more time.
Here, some of the hires were, I agree with that. We said that last week. Some of the hires were to appease the fan base. I feel that way too.
I don't know what to say to that. Not that I disagree. Let me be very clear. I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, if you're just looking at their resumes and their qualifications,
yeah, that's true. But how can you get mad at Dom Capers? Everyone here in Carolina, we love Dom Capers, right? He was the first ever coach for us, and he did a great job when he was here. Everyone loves Dom Capers, right? Everyone loves Jim Caldwell.
Right.
Does the color of his skin help? Yes, it absolutely does.
But I say this all the time, man. Matt Rule took 5 years of our fandom, so I'm not mad at that, man. I'm sorry.
That's true. Yeah. Wilkes won 6 games essentially just with a mess. That's what people forget about that stint.
With Matt Rule's mess.
Rule's mess, and you traded away our best player
ever.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, but you know what I mean.
Well, in our franchise history, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Any more thoughts on Miles Bridges? Miles Bridges did say in a recent interview that he feels like he'll be playing sometime in March.
I don't know if March is going to happen, but that's uncertain because we don't know what's going on with this NBA investigation. And I don't know if I've said this in a previous podcast or not, man. But I was so glad that Mitch Kupchak finally said something, in regards to this, because we were just so in the dark about it. So at least at this point, we know something is moving. You know what I mean? But with that being said, we don't know how long this NBA investigation is going on. Maybe Miles Bridges is giving us something we don't know. We don't know. So we'll see.
I don't think Miles would have said that unless somebody, his agent or somebody came down and said, here's what's going to happen.
At the same time, March is Wednesday. So how late in March are we talking about? And on top of that, is it even worth Miles Bridges playing basketball for the Hornets at this point? I don't want him to.
For Miles, it is. He's got to get back into basketball shape.
But he has all training camp to do that, man.
Yeah, but you got, when you've been away for the game, even a little bit of, he's essentially missed the entire season.
You want to talk about anti-tanking? If he comes back,
we might make the play-in. God, don't let that happen. Oh my God.
I don't even know if I'd want that.
Yeah. If Miles Bridges come back, we make the play-in.
I'm not a tank commander, but at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah. But that would kind of prove an interesting point that a lot of fans had about how
you said something last night, and I like your comment because I agree. This roster, hell, we've been saying this all season, really. The roster ain't as bad as fans want it to be.
Right, yep.
I don't know how many times, man, people just want to just...
And you may be saying, well, why would fans want the roster to be bad? Because it's easier to place the blame on the front office for losing, right?
Yep.
If you're like, man, we're losing because Mitch and Jordan, right?
Pick players, blah, blah, yeah.
But I don't see it.
I've never seen it.
I'm thinking like
even when we were losing, like we have been all season, I've never seen it.
Miles Bridges, Devontae Graham, Cody Martin, PJ Washington. That was a Cho pick. PJ was a Cho pick. Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Nick Richards. Everyone loves Nick Richards, right?
Right.
Okay, so he had a few misses. Right. You're always gonna have misses.
Yeah, it's never gonna be perfect.
And his misses were James Bouknight.
And the jury's still out on
Kai Jones, right? So I don't. Okay, what? I guess if you want to make any criticisms about Mitch, it would be sometimes his lack of action, his inaction. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna sit put here. Right. And then of course you could criticize him for the Gordon Hayward deal. Although, to be fair, Gordon Hayward was the number one free agent that season.
If he wasn't going to get paid by us, somebody else
was going to pay him $30 million, and he came to the Charlotte Hornets, right?
Right. Out of all the teams,
right. So it's hard for me to say, well, Mitch hasn't done a great job of building a roster.
Mitch Kupchak has done exactly what I thought he would do. And again, let me say this. I find it very interesting how last season, play-in game aside, I find it interesting how last season everyone would agree, every sensible fan would agree, that the Hornets had some direction. We were on an upward trajectory, right? Right. There was some direction. We saw the team ascending. We saw the team getting better. And all of a sudden, we're just terrible.
You can't discount the impact of injuries. Here's one thing I hate hearing from fans. Well, every team has injuries.
Not to this extent.
Not to this extent, right? Well, okay, every team has little small nagging injuries, but when your entire starting lineup has only played 8 games together,
come on, man. You know what's funny? I want to make sure I'm very clear. I'm going to preface my statement by saying this, so please don't get anything confused, y'all. I am not comparing the Charlotte Hornets to the Golden State Warriors as a franchise. I want to make sure I'm very clear about that, okay?
Yes, you are, Jamal.
Shut up. But you notice when the Warriors missed the playoffs, right? Everybody knew they did not make the playoffs because their 2 best guys were not playing. That was widely understood, right? Why is it not understood that we are not the same team? Because one of our best guys has been out all season.
Because people underrate our players. There are people out there that think Miles Bridges is not
some guy.
Yeah, he's not good enough to have made. He was our leading scorer last year, and I'll argue that he should have made the All-Star game over LaMelo Ball.
And I was going to say he's borderline All-Star.
In fact, he led player voting. He led Miles Bridges, because the players get a vote.
Right.
He led player voting.
That's something, right?
He just didn't make the game because of fan and coaches vote.
Right.
That's saying something. The players respect Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is a good player. He's good enough to where if you just took him from the team, then you've got to readjust. Like first of all, who has replaced Miles Bridges?
Nobody.
20 points a game? Nobody.
Not one. Nobody.
So that's why players think they think our players just like all of them are garbage. They're just all trash.
But again, it's easier to say that when you can just blame it, guys.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So whatever, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm hungry, man. I might go to Red Man. I might need to find a food truck or something, man.
Yeah, something. No, I mean, shoot, I might just even have to take it to Bojangles.
There you go.
Right?
Slow Jangles around here.
So, yeah, don't go to Bojangles on Mount Holly Huntersville Road. You'll be there 3 hours and then they won't have any chicken. It happens.
It happens.
All right, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us here. Back in the studio. We'll be back next week. What if the Hornets continue this win streak? What if they win like 8 games in a row?
Hey man, look again. If you don't change the culture, it don't matter who you draft. I'm saying it again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, y'all have a great week. We'll talk to y'all later.
Y'all. Good seeing y'all, man.
Peace.